Due to the demonetization of true crime videos on YouTube, I've created a Patreon for those of you who would like to support the channel. The link is in the description below. Get access to ad-free content, early access, and exclusive videos depending on the tier. Thank you so much. Also, we've created a Discord channel for those of you who would like to join the community. Link in the description. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of the Elizabeth Wettlaufer Killer Nurse Confession Interrogation. Let's hop right in where we left off. You can click the card in the top to go watch part 1 if you haven't seen it.
So that was after Helen. Okay. So Helen was at Crescent Care. Where was Helen's room?
She was on A side. I had been transferred to A side, which is a new unit, relatively new, 10, 12 years old. I was on the first floor. I was the charge nurse for the first floor, and she was in the room closest to the nurse's station.
Where was that like for me going to Crescent Care, would it be closer to Fife or closer to North Ave side or?
So there's the retirement home. There's the wall that joins the retirement home to the nursing home. There's North Wing. There's South Wing. There's East Wing. And then down at the end of the hallway of East Wing is Unit 1 and Unit 2 in the building right on top of each other.
And what was the purpose of that area of Crescent Care?
Oh, it was all single rooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Helen was in her own room?
Helen was in her own room, yeah. It was all single rooms, that area.
All right. And Helen was a type 2 diabetic with dementia?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about Helen.
Helen was miserable. She frequently yelled out, "Help me, nurse." She frequently yelled out she wanted to die. She just was not happy with her life. She would wheel around in her wheelchair saying, "Help me, nurse, help me, nurse, help me, nurse, help me, nurse." And when you went to help her, what do you want help with? Nothing. Get away with me. Go away. Help me, nurse, help me, nurse. Didn't want to eat, didn't want to drink. Very difficult to deal with. Constantly would yell out, or we'd say, "What do you want help with?" "I want to die. Why can't you help me die? I want to die." And one night, it was like something snapped inside, and that red surge came back, and I thought, okay, you will die.
Every story she gives of the person before she kills them shows motive for why she would want them dead. She said it herself. One day, she just snapped. That, I believe. In my opinion, she was annoyed by this lady and was like, "Fine, if you want to die, you will die," and then killed her. And this red surge sounds like rage and nervousness combined.
So, I gave her a shot. I came up to her and said, "This is for your pain." And I gave her a shot of long-acting or short-acting. And she started to settle down. And then later on, we put her into bed, and I gave her more of the insulin. I think it was long-acting. She had a seizure. She turned red. She was diaphoretic. The PSWs called me to the bedside. I took all of her vital signs, and I pretended to take her blood sugar. And said, "Oh, it's normal. Don't worry about it."
How did you go about that with people beside you?
They're PSWs. Don't let anybody see that part of the
PSWs?
She's a prolific serial killer, and yet she cares about her image so much that she doesn't want people to see her say they're PSWs with disgust on her face, as if PSWs are stupid and below her. Why do you guys think she cares so much about that part of her image in particular?
No, but what I mean by that is PSWs, nurses focus on the meds and treatment.
Okay.
PSWs focus on, they were busy. They were busy washing her. They were busy changing her. They were busy dealing with the fact that she was having diarrhea. They were not doing the part of the job I was doing, so they never would have noticed. Where's my burger? So they never would have noticed, me not taking the blood sugar. Cause I took her, like I did her pulse, I did everything else, so they wouldn't have noticed that I didn't do that because they were busy with everything else.
Okay, and you just.
And I just said,
Things
oh,
are normal.
blood sugar's good, 5.6, she's good.
Which is a number that in your mind you knew was average and nothing concerning the 5.6 or whatever you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember what shift you were working at this point?
Afternoons, I was straight through to 11s, at that point I was straight through to 11 on that ward.
Okay.
That had started a little bit before that.
Yeah. Okay, and that would have been an individual room, as you said?
Yes.
And do you remember when Mrs. Young died?
1 to 2 days afterwards?
Okay. Do you know if you were present for that?
No, it wasn't.
Was there a different procedure at all when people passed away in that wing opposed to where you were prior to?
No, it was all the same nursing home, it was all the same policies.
Okay.
It was just that nursing home was, that wing of the nursing home was built to accommodate the fact that, the owner took over Norvilla
Okay.
in Norwich.
Okay.
So, everybody from Norvilla got moved to the new part of the nursing home.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's the only reason. And then eventually they all got mixed together.
Right. Okay. So being that it had been a few years then, when you injected Mrs. Young and you were successful in causing her death, how did it make you feel after those few years that these urges and these feelings had come back?
I felt horrible. I felt angry at myself. I felt like I had failed myself. I felt like God had failed me.
Did you continue to practice in the church?
I continued going to church, yeah.
Did you believe in as much as
I did, but I was getting very confused. So it was soon after that I went to the pastor and told him what had happened. And he prayed over me, and because he said that was the last thing he would have thought of me, and his wife was there too, and they prayed over me, and they said to me, now this is God's grace, but if you ever do this again, we will have to turn you into the police.
And where would that conversation have taken place? At the church?
In their house, at their kitchen table. And I kept going to their church.
And how detailed did you get with the conversation?
I told him that I was taking people's lives by giving them insulin overdoses.
What were you specific with names? How much insulin?
No.
When you were doing this?
No.
How many people?
I don't know if I told him how many people, just that I was doing it, I wanted to stop.
And his response was to pray for you and pray over you?
He put his hands on me and have his wife put his hands on me and pray.
What religion did that church practice?
Yeah.
Did Helen have any family that you recall that would come
Yes,
visit her?
she had a niece that loved her very much and was there at least twice a week.
Did you ever converse with her?
Before she died, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How old was she?
I'm saying in the late 50s, early 60s.
The niece?
The niece, yeah.
And then Helen herself?
90.
Did you speak to her following Helen's death, her niece?
What?
Okay, what was that?
I think it was a day or two after when she was gathering her stuff, and she cried on my shoulder and thanked me for being a good nurse.
And again, the feelings that you had at that point?
Oh, guilt, shame, anger, like I had betrayed her. And not that I was betrayed, but betrayal. That I betrayed her.
And did you display any emotion at that point to her?
I just, gave her a hug back and said I was so sorry. But at that point, I was getting very confused about was this God and was it not.
And when you resumed doing this, did you have any, besides the religious feelings that you were having, did you have any other personal feelings in your mind as far as knowing the difference between right and wrong again?
Yes, I knew the difference between right and wrong. But I thought this was something that God or whoever wanted me to do it. I was starting at that point to doubt that it was God.
When you resume doing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Was anyone working with you on that day that you can recall?
The PSWs, but I don't remember their names.
Okay. How many would have there been?
3.
Okay.
There would have been students too, I think, but I can't remember.
And there would have been 32 patients in that wing as well?
Yes.
That you were responsible for? Okay. March of 2014, this is Marine Pickering at Crescent Care.
Yeah.
Tell me about Marine.
Maureen was a handful. She would attack other patients, she would pull their hair, she would hit them, she would pinch them. Eventually, it was decided that she needed a one-on-one staff. So sometimes they would book an extra PSW to be with her. Sometimes someone would come from the outside to be with her. But when one wasn't available, it was the role of the church nurse. And that was nuts. Sorry. That's just absolutely nuts. So, she just got harder and harder to look after. And one night when I had to look after her, I got this idea. I thought, you know, I'm starting to get the feeling of that surge again. I thought, no, I don't want her to die. But if I could somehow give her enough of a dose to give her a coma or something to change her brain waves, maybe make her less, you know, maybe make her less mobile, hard to handle, left handed, hard to handle.
Right.
So, yeah, so I overdosed her.
Okay, I am 100% solidified in my belief that she did this because the patients were a burden and she just didn't feel like dealing with them. There was no surge from God. She might have wanted to believe that in the beginning, but it seems at this point she had realized it wasn't God. It was just her outright rage. Yet she does it anyway because she doesn't want to deal with the difficult patient. Disgusting.
And was that in the same wing?
Yes, she was right across. She had gone into the room that Helen had been in. Yeah, she was right across from the nurse's station.
And as well, obviously, a single room at that point?
Yeah. That night she stroked. She had a severe stroke. She went to the hospital. And when she came back, she was there at the nursing home for a few days, and she died. But before she came back from the hospital, I was fired from Crescent Care for medication errors that had nothing to do with this.
When you got transferred into this A wing, did you still get the medication the same way? The insulin the same way?
Yeah, because there's insulin purchase there.
Okay. And so, sorry, Maureen, Mrs. Pickering, was transferred from Crescent Care to the hospital?
And then
back to
back,
Crescent
yeah.
Care. What was the time frame there, do you remember?
2 days, I think.
And
But they knew that she was totally vegetative when she came back.
so she was basically coming back to pass away
Yeah.
at Crescent Care?
Yeah.
Was she put in palliative care when she returned?
No, she had her own room.
Okay.
The palliative care room was for people who didn't have their own room,
Right.
so that families could go and be with them
Okay.
and not, you know, not disturb the other residents and not be disturbed by the other residents.
Right. Do you remember how much insulin that you gave to Mrs. Pickering?
It was a lot. It was a lot. I'm gonna say 80 long acting and 60 short acting, something like that. It was a lot of insulin.
Why so much to her?
Wasn't sure if she would die or not, and I really wanted to make sure that she, their mind was changed a bit before she came back to us.
So the insulin caused her
A stroke.
stroke and then the reason to travel to the hospital.
Yeah.
Do you remember any reaction from her when you were injecting her?
No, none at all.
Do you remember what type of, sorry, I apologize, what part of the body that you injected her?
Her arm.
Left, right?
Left. Left up.
And no reaction? She
Oh yeah, the first time I gave it to her, she said, "Hey, what was that for? And I said, that's your vitamin injection.
Which is, like I said, that you would typically tell people?
Yeah.
Okay. How long in between when you gave her the next dose?
Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And that was about, what time did you say, sorry?
Oh, I don't know.
You were still working in the afternoon, right?
Yeah, 8 or 9 at night.
Okay, yeah, it says here that at 8 o'clock, you gave her 80 units of long-acting insulin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want her to die. I just gave her more than I've ever given anyone else because I wasn't sure she was gonna die. In my opinion. Ma'am, you a lie. You gave her that much on purpose to make sure she would die.
Did Miss Pickering, do you recall any family that she had?
She had 2 friends that came and saw her a lot. She had a boyfriend that would come to see her.
Okay. How old was she?
82.
How old was her boyfriend?
Oh, I have no idea.
No?
No.
But he would come on a regular visit?
He would come to visit, yeah.
Was there any restrictions on visiting practices at all? Certain hours?
Basically, no. If they wanted to come late at night, they had to let us know.
Okay.
So we could let them in and out.
Okay.
And that was more for palliative people.
Right.
But no, there was no real restrictions. I mean, there was the odd patient who had a restriction, like they can't leave the building with this person, or they can't leave the building with that person, or so-and-so shows up, call the police, that sort of thing.
Do you remember if you were present when she passed away?
I was not. I'd already been fired.
Okay, so sorry, between the time that she... When were you fired?
Late March, early April.
Was it when she was at the hospital? Or did she come back and then...
She had come back and then I was fired.
And then she
But,
lived for a few more days?
Yeah.
You were fired in the meantime?
yeah,
And she passed?
for something that had nothing to do with her. And my timeline may be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It may have been February,
Mm-hmm.
because I know by the middle of April I was working again at Meadow Partners in home.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what was the cause of your firing then? Sorry, there was a medication mix-up?
I had a few medication errors, and strangely enough, not on purpose, one of our residents was missing her long-acting insulin that she got at supper,
Okay.
and it was coming from pharmacy, but I wanted to make sure she got her insulin, so I took insulin from another person who I thought was the same insulin, but it was short-acting, and it gave her a seizure because she wasn't used to it, and she was okay. We helped her, and she was all right. But when they figured it out, I was fired because I had other medication errors as well. No, different things. Eye drops, just a lot of different stuff.
And what do you think that was a result of?
What, med-air?
Mm-hmm.
The workload. Yeah.
Was it anything to do with, were you still using it at this point?
You know what? I never made a work there. I never made a med-air when I was using it at work. Never.
Just had you focused.
Yeah.
Did you ever commit any of these deaths when you were using?
No. None of them.
So no med errors, no deaths.
When I was using.
You're using it was all the feeling in your chest, your stomach, and
Yeah.
your
The
sore.
searching and yeah. And then the laughter afterwards, which was really, it was like a cackling from the pit of hell, if that makes sense.
Did the cackling continue when Mrs. Young was injected with insulin? After that 2-year break?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the
it did. Same
feeling,
cackling.
same cackling.
Same feeling, same cackling.
So then did you work anywhere between Crescent Care and Meadow Park?
No.
Okay, did you go directly from one to the other?
Pretty much, within a month.
And would those medication errors be documented in a reference letter, or?
No.
Were you made aware of anything like that Meadow Park would be aware of the reason why you were let go
I
from
told
Crescent
the person that hired me at Meadow Park. She told me she had found my resume somewhere, because I never applied to Meadow Park.
Oh, really?
But she had found my resume somewhere, and she called me because they needed a nurse.
Oh, okay.
So when we did our interview, her name was Heather, I forget her last name, she's not there anymore. When we did our interview, she said to me, "Why did you leave?" And I told her, I said, "I'll be absolutely honest with you. I was fired for med errors." And she said, "Well, tell me about them," and I did. And she said, "Okay, well, I believe in second chances, so you're hired. Full-time afternoons," and it was a 1-year contract.
Okay. And how long were you unemployed for then?
A month,
Just a month?
yeah.
Okay. And would you commute back and forth? Did you still live in Woodstock at the time?
I still lived in Woodstock and I commuted back and forth,
For straight afternoons?
yeah.
What was that? What were the hours for the straight afternoons?
Either 2:30 to 10:30 or 3 to 11.
Okay.
I'm not sure which it was.
So when you got to Meadow Park, what was the difference as far as the workflow of the patients that you were responsible for? Were the
No
numbers similar?
difference. It was
32
extremely
patients.
similar. The only difference was that the, RPNs would do the, if there were dressings that had to be done at night, they'd do the dressings on the people at night that were my people.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah.
And, your supervisor at that point at Meadow Park, was that the same person that hired you, Heather, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was the nursing supervisor.
Okay, so she'd be your direct supervisor.
Yeah.
So RPAD, or RTORVAP,
Yes.
tell me a little bit about it.
He was mean. He would grab the nurses and the PSWs whenever they were trying to do things for him. He would grab them, he would twist their arms, he would punch them. Very difficult to do care for. And one night I just got that surgery and I got that you need to go.
Had he done something that night?
No, not really, just been his normal self.
Shocking! Her next victim is also someone she was having difficulty with.
And he fought the first needle. And then the second needle I got in. And I forgot something about Maureen. I had given her a dose of whatever we dosed her with to calm her down before I ever gave her the insulin. Forgot about that. So I had done that.
So you
Is
gave
that
her
in
the-
there?
About Maureen?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I had given her a sedative dose before I ever gave her the insulin.
Oh, you said you gave her Helen.
Yeah.
You recall doing that?
Yes, I did.
And then the 2 insulin injections.
Yeah.
Did the Haldol calm her? Do you remember?
No, it didn't. So Art, I gave a large amount of short-acting, a large amount of long-acting in between each other. And then when I left for the night, he was still okay. When I came back the next day and worked, they said that he had had a stroke, severe stroke, and gone to the hospital. And the nurse that I talked to who'd been on the night before, she said, "Do you know how low his blood sugar was?" And I said, "How low?" And she said, "Oh, like 1 point something." And then she said, "But you know what? I went home and I did some research, and sometimes having a bad stroke can make your blood sugar go low."
Really?
Yeah, that's what she said to me.
That was
So,
odd too.
yeah, that was odd. But yeah, so he lived for a couple of days and then he passed.
Do you remember what nurse that was? That you worked with?
It was the night nurse. Little short Filipino lady. That's all I remember. They read an injection.
But having that, and it's documented in here a few times, having that feeling of anger and frustration, would you ever,
No.
you would never state anything to vocalize your anger towards that person as you were injecting?
No, never.
And Art, then, where did you inject him?
His arm and his thigh.
Okay. And what were you telling him at that point that you were giving him? Did he ask?
It's come on now, settle down, you need to have your medicine. And eventually I put it into
connection to him at all? Did he stroke right away?
No, he didn't stroke till I left.
Okay. And then that's when you came in the next day and had the conversation with that short
Yeah.
Filipino nurse?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Sorry, I don't remember her name.
It's okay. The 4 or 5 days later when he passed away, do you remember if that was back at Meadow Park or was it in the hospital?
It was in the hospital.
Okay, so he never came back.
It may have just been 2 or 3 days. It seemed like it was 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And his family was devastated. Absolutely devastated.
What was his health like at that point? Prior to
Other
injecting him?
than dementia, he was fairly strong. He was in a wheelchair, but he was a good eater and he was strong. And
How old was he?
I'm gonna say maybe 78.
Okay. And who was his family members?
He had a son named Art who did stand-up comedy.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, like I think it was just like open mic night.
Right.
And then his wife.
Okay. That's it.
That's all I remember. I know he had other, but that's the only ones I remember.
Do you remember if there were other son or daughters or just other family members that you could recall?
There were other family members involved, but I don't recall.
Okay. Did you ever have any interaction with his family? I mean, you said they were devastated. When did you learn of that? How did you know of
They
that?
came in to take stuff out of his room.
Following his death?
While he was still in the hospital, they came in to take some stuff, and then when he was gone, they came in to take the rest.
Okay. How did you feel having a conversation with him?
Awful. Again, like I betrayed them.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling right now?
Can I go to the bathroom again?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we're almost done.
We are. Okay. We're getting there. I have 7:14
Okay.
to resume. So we left off with Art, Mr.
Yeah.
Horvath, at Meadow Park Nursing Home. And I don't think we ever covered this off. Meadow Park is in London, right?
Yes,
I'll be
that's
talking
right.
about commuting, right? Okay. All right. Is there anything else you remember about Art at all?
Not really. Well, he was a big game hunter,
Was he? Yeah.
and he had pictures of it all over the walls in his room.
Yeah. Did you ever converse with these people, like what they did for work and that type of thing? Like, would you remember details like that? Like Art, for
Well,
instance,
Art was a big game hunter. Maurice, I don't know. James, I don't know. No, I guess I never really did.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And at Meadow Park, where would you get the insulin there?
Again, from the medication fridge,
Okay.
and using a spare insulin and eat meals.
And again, it wasn't tracked?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
I don't know. Insulin's not something that's usually tracked.
Right. And just because it's not a concern to the home?
Yeah. I mean, I think it is now. I know some homes track it now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just a question out of curiosity. Just my lack of knowledge of it, that's all.
Yeah.
Now you have a portion of your, on the 4th page of this document that you wrote out, and before you present, when did you write this out? I know it's dated the 24th of September.
Yes, that's when I wrote it out.
You wrote this full document at that point?
24th and 25th.
Where were you at that point?
I was at the CAMH.
And what made you prepare this document?
The doctor suggested to me that I should.
Okay.
Not to give to the police, but he said that if I wrote it out, it would be a good part of my therapy.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And did take a large amount of pressure off me, and helped me to really clarify the fact that no, it wasn't God, it was something wrong with me psychologically that was making me believe that it was God.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped me to clarify that.
And the original of this document?
Is in my knapsack in the back of your car.
And we'll get down the road at that point, but Is providing us with the original document something you'd be willing to do?
Yes.
And we'll get to that.
Do you have a stamp that you can stamp it as the original?
I don't even think we'll need to do that. We'll have you sign a consent form, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Only if you're willing, of course. You have a portion on the 4th page here, and it's titled "People Who Didn't Die."
Mhm.
What can you tell me about?
Okay, Clotilde Adriano.
Okay.
She was the first person I ever gave extra insulin to.
Okay.
I think I gave her 40, and I just, again, there was that surging, but it wasn't so much that I wanted her to die. It was more, let's see what happens. And I did that to her on more than one occasion.
Okay.
Albino was...
Sorry, she was prior to Mr. Silcox, right?
Yes.
So this was the very first person that you
Yes.
injected with insulin?
Yes.
Okay. And we're at Crescent Care?
At Crescent Care.
And her room was where?
Her room was in the east wing, second door on the left. Then east wing, first door on the left was her sister Albina. She was diabetic.
Okay.
She was October 2007.
Sorry, that was her sister?
Clotilde and Albina were sisters, yes.
Oh, okay.
Then there was Wayne. He was on the north wing. He had dementia. He was diabetic. He could be uncooperative. And I gave him a large overdose because I thought it was his turn to go.
That was Wayne?
That was Wayne.
And sorry, how old was... Sorry, and I hate to go back. I just have a few more questions. How old was Clotilde?
Clotilde was 90 or so.
Okay, and her sister?
Albina was probably 82.
And did they have family that would come and visit?
Yes, yes,
All right.
very much so.
Who was happy that would come to visit?
Clotilde, I think it was her daughters, and Albina was her husband.
Okay. And long-acting, short-acting?
Short-acting at that point.
You know, so you were still doing short-acting. Okay. And do you remember the doses
Oh,
that you would have given?
wait a second. What would they get at night? It was long-acting, because it was what they got at night. With those two, it was their own insulin, just extra dose. So
Okay.
probably 30 to 40
Right.
extra.
And then Wayne, how old was Wayne, sorry?
I'd say 60.
Okay. Oh, so he was younger.
He had developmental challenges, as well as dementia, as well as being diabetic, as well as being a handful. And he wanted to die. So again, that one night I just felt that surging, but he didn't die. I think
How would you know he wanted to die?
He would say it sometimes, that he just wanted to go.
Mm-hmm. Where was Wayne in the Crescent Care?
He was in room 8, which is the men's ward down at the end.
So 8 or A?
8.
The number?
8 north. 8 north.
All right. And would that be roommates in there as well?
Yes.
Do you know who he was roomed with?
No.
All right. And Mike with Huntington's disease?
That was 2009.
What is that disease?
It robs you of your body and you still have your mind. You get progressively more agitated, you get progressively more psychotic, and you're in a wheelchair and you've got all these movements that you can't control. It's a horrible disease.
And how old was Mike?
He was 54. And again, one night I just felt that surging and I thought, now this must be God because this man is not enjoying his life at all. So I gave him a large amount of insulin. I think I gave him 90 total.
Did you ever do anything to harm you?
No, never.
Did Wayne?
No.
Albina?
No.
Clotilde?
No.
This takes us to a different location, Telford Place in Paris. That's obviously Paris, Ontario, correct?
Yeah.
Outside of kind of Brantford, Woodstock area.
2016 winter.
Okay, and that was Sandra?
Yeah, and
How old was Sandra?
Sandra, I think she was in her 70s.
Okay. And Telford Place, what was the breakup of the rooms there? Where was she located? Telford Place?
She was down the wing, straight down from the nurse's desk, about 2 doors on the left.
Okay.
And she had 3 roommates.
Okay. She described her a little bit of personality and her
Tall, not very well. She didn't walk anymore. She had a good sense of humor. She often said she didn't want to be there. And so one night I gave her an insulin overdose. But she survived because the nurse who came on next went to check on her to do something else and noticed that she was sweating and took her blood sugar and saved her life.
Okay. And how did these other people survive?
It just didn't. Clotilda and Albina, they found them to have low blood sugar, and they gave them stuff to raise it. And Wayne and Mike, they just survived. It was never found out.
Was there anything to do with the gender, male or female, that this insulin, the effect of it, or was it just, again, just depended on the makeup of their body and their health? And
yeah, not that I know of if it has anything to do with gender.
The nurse who saved Sandra,
yeah.
Was there anything that ever came back on you?
No.
Any retribution, consequences?
No, she never figured it out that I know of. She even asked me about it and asked if I thought she'd done the right thing.
Who was that? Do you remember her name?
Diane, I don't remember her last name.
And what were you working at that point? What shifts were you working at Telford Place?
Whatever I got called in for. I was actually working for a nursing agency at that time called Lifeguard Agency, and I was sent to Telford as a lifeguard.
I see. So you were never employed by Telford Place?
No, I was employed by Lifeguard, and I would go to Telford and to other places as well.
Okay. And that's when you got involved with St. Elizabeth as well, right? When you were with Lifeguard?
Yeah. Just, I was only with St. Elizabeth like a month and a half before I quit.
2016 of August, which is not too long ago, you're employed with St. Elizabeth, it says here.
Yeah, I was frustrated with my job. Had a huge workload, having to learn a lot of new things, just a lot of frustration. The weekend that this happened, I had all of the people that I had to look after. Most of them were in Ingersoll. I didn't know any of them. And on the Saturday I went in and I was doing my care. And this is really the only one that was pre-planned, because on the Saturday I went in and I was doing care on Beverly. I noticed that she had a PICC line, which is a line that takes medication straight to your heart, and that she was diabetic. And so the next day when I went in, I was really frustrated, and I could just really feel the surging and the laughing, and I gave her a huge amount. I gave her, I think it was 180, three doses of 60 through the PICC line.
Did she question that at all?
No, because I used one to rinse the PICC line, one to put into her antibiotics, and one to rinse the PICC line again. And she survived.
See here how the gut feeling and the cackling were second thought to what she actually means, which is that she was frustrated and stressed out and decided to take that rage out on a patient, believing it would end their life. Also, she claims that this was the only one that was premeditated, which is convenient since it's an attempted murder and not an actual murder.
She was fine the next day.
Did you go see her the next day?
No, but I was able to check it on my computer because she was seen every day by a nurse.
Okay.
So I could go into the tablet from work and see how she was.
Okay. And that was just a computer program used by St. Elizabeth?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
On their own tablet.
Okay. And these other people, where did you inject them?
Their arms.
All of them?
All of them, yeah. Sandy was probably her leg, but she was a little bit more difficult.
In August of 2016 then with Beverly, you don't remember Beverly's last name?
No, I don't. And I don't even remember if her first name was Beverly.
Oh, okay.
I could probably, I don't know if I could tell you the weekend it was or not.
But she lived in Ingersoll?
Yes.
Did she live in a home or?
Yeah, in a home, like
her own residence, I mean, or remember where in Ingersoll it was?
No, I don't.
No. Okay. How come you have the name Beverly but you're not sure what her name is?
'cause I'm not sure if it was Bev or B or,
I gotcha, okay. Okay, and that was the only one that you had given through the pipeline?
yes.
Did you know what the result would be compared to a direct injection into an arm or a leg or a thigh?
I'd
compared
never
to a
done
pipeline?
it before, I'd never looked at it, I had no idea.
Okay.
She went to sleep fairly quickly and I left, but when I checked, the next day to see how she was through the next nurse, there was no change.
How old was she?
She was 63, 64.
And what was her diagnosis as far as her health?
She was diabetic and she had large ulcers on her leg. And she also had a, severe infection.
How does that make you feel going through all that?
Awful.
Do you feel like there's a burden lifted off your shoulders?
Yes, I've done the right thing.
Do you feel there's a sense of relief?
Yes. And now I know that it wasn't God. And I'm ashamed of myself that happened, but I also think that it was mental health. You know, I think it was, I wasn't in my right mind. Or I would have been able to tell. I mean, I was raised to believe in God. I was raised from a baby to go to Sunday school, so how could I get such a strong feeling that this is what God wanted, unless it was something wrong with my head?
I know we've talked about what you would say to the families and so on and so forth, but, again, I feel terrible for the people that are gonna find out in the days and weeks to come about what actually happened to their loved ones, right?
I do. I feel horrible. If there was ever anything I could do so that nobody did this again, I'd do it.
Do you feel horrible? Because now you're shirking the guilt off onto mental issues rather than your behavior. It seems like she might think she will get away with it if she blames it on a mental break? I don't know. Also, what's with this universal, I would stop this from ever happening again? Wouldn't someone who really feels guilty want to go back in time and change what they did or stop themselves from ever doing it? Not try to prevent nameless others from committing the same crime? Very strange. All feels like manipulation.
Just a few other things to cover off then. That, the things that some of these people would do to you, the hitting, the pinching, the grabbing of your breasts, would you ever report that?
Yeah, it was always reported and charged on.
And that's documented on their charts?
Yes.
Okay. And was there any, there's obviously never, not obviously, but was there ever any charges or criminal matters that came of any of this at all?
No. That's part of working in the nursing home, that's just what they do. Might even be your fault, dear.
Yeah, you said that.
Mrs. Conbeck.
Yeah. Do you think that might have played a role in your actions?
No.
Maureen, your ex. What was Maureen's last name?
I think about, 4 years ago when she wanted money to move back.
Oh,
We were only together for a year.
okay. So she came here?
Yeah, and brought her 2 kids.
Okay. The teenage kid?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned that here in Toronto, Stephen.
Yeah, we got involved with CES with them.
Mm-hmm. When they were here?
Mm-hmm.
Have you, this document that you prepared, Beth, and I know that you had stated the reason why, I guess we call it the breaking point of why you stopped,
Yeah.
was the possibility that you were going to have to be dealing with kids,
Yes, that's right.
right?
Yes.
Is there anyone else within your career path that isn't listed on these 4 documents, or these 4 pieces of paper, that you'd be responsible for their deaths?
No, absolutely not.
And if we were to tell you that we've come across some fairly significant or suspicious deaths at other nursing homes,
Where it's in,
right? What would you say to that?
I'd say it wasn't me.
So there's no one else involved,
No,
that fell victim to your actions?
no.
Just repeat to me again the people that you've disclosed this to besides myself tonight.
Okay, the very first person I ever disclosed it to was, another girlfriend at the time. That was after I killed a couple of people, and, she told me not to do it again or she was gonna turn me into the police.
When was that? Sorry?
I couldn't tell you, 2008, I think. And then, 2011, when I decided to stop killing, I told her what I'd been doing and that I had stopped. And then, I told my pastor. And then after that, I told in 2014, after Art passed away, I went on a holiday, and that's when I really decided that this had to stop. And so I told a friend who lives in BC. Then I told, when I came back, I got advice from a lawyer. And then while I was in Toronto, while I was in CAMH, well, I told my friend, before everyone, I told my cousin, I told my friend, and I told my friend. And then while I was in CAMH, I told someone who I thought was a friend. They turned around and called the police to make sure that it had really been dealt with. And I understand that he thought he was doing the right thing. I understand that, but he had said, oh, I won't tell anybody, and I was using him as a resource for support, and he turned around and
Right.
when I'd already, I'd already shared it, so why would he call the police?
So why?
He would call the police because you murdered a bunch of people and he wanted to do the right thing and be sure you were stopped. She is so delusional. Like, she obviously feels betrayed and does not understand why he would call the cops after telling her he would keep it secret. Of course, he was being polite so you wouldn't murder him. I can't believe he's the only one that actually called the cops. That's wild.
Why do you think that none of these people confronted police?
Maybe they didn't believe me. I don't know. Maybe they thought I was doing more something than the patient wanted done.
And as far as believing you, are these close people to you that you've shared other deep, dark secrets with maybe over time?
I would say these are secrets with lots of stuff, yeah.
Because this is a pretty serious thing.
Yes, it is.
Right.
It's horrible.
I'm telling you.
It's the worst thing.
Telling these people, I just find it hard to believe that no one would come forward, which is 5, 6 people down the road, right?
Yeah.
Of having knowledge of it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
And everything that you're telling us is the truth.
Yes, it is.
There's
yes, sir.
nothing that's been fabricated.
No, sir. No.
And you're sure about that?
I know so.
What would we find in your home? Did you ever document any of this activity at all?
Once in a while I journaled on it. There might be some in my home, but I don't know.
Where would
I
those
think
be?
I threw it out. If it's around, it would be in like a spiral binder in either my desk, my other desk, or my whatchamacallit. Come on. You put files, folders in
Like
there.
a filing cabinet?
Yes, filing cabinet, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's, did you live alone?
Yes, I did.
And stuff? Okay.
Yes. Did you want someone to come with me and look?
Well, to be honest with you, as part of the investigation, there's already been a search warrant executed at your house.
Oh, so the search there's already been a
I
search
don't know what stage it's at because we've been conversing for quite some time.
Okay.
It's probably close to being completed.
Okay,
But I'm just asking, because you've been so cooperative,
yeah,
and again, I do appreciate that.
yeah,
I really do. It just makes things a lot easier, right? Advising us where certain things might be, and you said you might have thrown them out,
yeah.
you might not have.
I might not have kept them. And then At the very end of my coffee table, there's a box, and it's got pictures and a photo album in it. There might be something in there too.
What would be in there?
A curlicue, writing pad.
Okay. What types of things would you document?
Just what I had done, how bad I felt, when it happened, just trying to figure out what was going on in my head. Yeah.
Searching for answers.
Yeah.
But you're not sure if you have rid of those or not yet?
I thought I got rid of them all, but I don't know if I did for sure.
And would there be anything else as far as computer documents or anything like that?
There would be, I accessed a computer support group for borderline personality disorder. It would be on that website.
Oh, it's just an open forum that you could join and,
Yes.
and post comments and,
Yeah.
what website was that?
I couldn't tell you, but I could find it on my computer.
Okay. And would that be something that you'd be willing to share with us?
Of course.
Give us good time to
Yep.
look at those documents and computer websites and whatnot?
Yeah.
What's your tattoo?
Hopes and dreams.
What does that mean to you?
That I have hopes for the future and dreams of the future.
Yeah. What are your hopes of the future now, after speaking to me over the last few hours?
That somehow, some way I can help somebody. There's gotta be somebody wherever I go, jail, penitentiary, there's gotta be somebody I can help. Maybe somebody who can't read, maybe somebody who can't write, maybe somebody who's done worse than me and feels like it'll never be forgiven. Maybe somebody who's done less than me and feels like it'll never be forgiven. There's gotta be something that can come from this. Maybe somebody can study me and come up with answers and new medications so this doesn't happen again. That's my hopes and dreams now.
Is there anything worse than taking someone else's life?
Yes. Child molestation. Absolutely.
Well, that is something I actually agree with her on.
Do you feel that you might harm the children and yourself if you were to work with them?
I was afraid that I might get that feeling of wanting to give them insulin or doses, especially since they were diabetic. And I panicked. There was no way. I was absolutely not open to that.
Thank goodness she confessed to a mental health professional before she killed any children. Ugh, that just makes me shudder thinking about it.
Is there anything else that you can think of right now?
No,
No?
I think I did pretty good.
I think you did.
So what happens now?
I'm just gonna get you to sit tight, and we'll arrange to see what the next steps are.
Oh, okay, I might not be going home then.
I will get back to you with that.
Okay.
We discussed your, original document that's in your backpack.
Yeah.
If I were to prepare a form, which is a consent to search or a consent form, to provide us with those documents, would that be something that you'd be willing to sign?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
There's some stuff in there too that I did with the nurse.
In your backpack?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of things are those?
Like, it's called a chain link thing, so you start at what you did and you go backwards to how you're feeling, what you could have done different and all that.
Okay. Do you feel that your time at Kami helped you?
Yes, very much so.
You received the care that you thought you needed?
Yeah, and an increase in medication, which I feel I needed. Yeah.
All right. Sit tight for a few moments.
Okay.
And I'll be back to you shortly, okay? Again, on my phone, I got 7:39
Okay.
p.m. And let me get back to you with some answers and
Okay.
where we're going from here, okay?
I'd like to go home.
Okay. We'll sit tight and we'll see what's
Even
going
if
to
I
happen.
have to wear an ankle bracelet, I'd like to go home.
Okay.
Why in the world do you think you would be allowed to go home?
All right. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can someone cut these off with me now?
Yeah, we'll get something to get those off.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I'll be right back.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, Beth.
That's okay.
You can imagine that things of this nature take some time.
Yeah,
And
I understand.
appreciate your patience with me.
I understand.
Thank you. So, I have 8:02. We're in the home stretch here.
Okay.
Okay, and I can explain to you everything that's gonna go on, okay?
Okay.
Fair enough?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So, first off, a few things that, and you remember the gentleman who transported us back from Toronto and also Karen,
Yeah.
my partners, that they've just been monitoring and
Right,
taking some
right.
notes and things like that. They're just some things that are concerning and that we just need to firm up, okay?
Okay.
So first off, as I said, there has been a search warrant executed at your residence,
Okay.
and there was some paperwork with regards to a Remington gun, shotgun of some sort.
Oh,
What would that be for?
just to look at it, 'cause I like guns.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you have any in the home?
No, I used to.
Did you? What did you have?
I had a 22.
Yeah. Was that a Remington by chance?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
But my husband had a gun that his dad gave me
Okay.
that we would shoot with, so I could stay at the gun club and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And when we broke up, I did the paperwork to give it back to him. That might be
Okay.
what they found.
Okay. All right.
I don't have a gun.
There's no firearms in your house right now?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, never will be.
Okay. All right. The username, like what would your username be on that blog that you would write on, that support group?
You know what, I'd have to go and look,
Yeah?
honestly.
It's not like your name and a couple numbers or
No.
nickname, anything like that?
No, I'd have to be sitting down in front of the computer to remember it,
Okay.
and even to find the support group.
Okay. These are a bunch of random questions, just all thrown together here. The insulin that you used, the short acting, the long acting, was there an actual brand or a make of the insulin that you would use?
Might have been Novulin,
Okay.
might have been Lenovo. Can't remember the other one.
Okay. When you worked with Lifeguard,
Yeah,
I know that you had mentioned they'd send you to certain locations, certain homes.
yeah.
What were those? There was Telfer Place and there was two others. Was one of them worked over?
There's more than, there was Telfer Place.
Yeah.
That was the very first. Then there was, here, I've done the one here. Telfer Place, Fort Dover, Dovercliff, is what it was called. I did, one PSW shift at a place in New Hamburg, but I couldn't tell you the name of it. Also, I worked at, Telfer Place and Dovercliff are both owned by the same people, and they have another nursing home in Brantford, but I can't remember the name of it.
That's okay, we can get all that located.
And then Park Lane Terrace in Paris, and Hardy Terrace, I think just outside of Paris. Oh, and what was the other one called? Oh Lord. It's way far out of town, it's like an hour and a half drive from here. My dad grew up in that area. Like it's in the Jarvis area, Simcoe area, it's called, I couldn't tell you, I'm sorry, my brain's shot for the night.
That's okay. That's all right. Anything think of?
Yeah. Is my house gonna be a mess when I get back?
No.
Oh,
I wouldn't
okay.
think so. No.
Okay.
Not that kind of a, it's not like you see on TV and
Yeah.
they're going flying everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Your Facebook page, at one point there was a comment, or I don't know where it is in your timeline, about a pediatric nurse. Did you ever work as a pediatric nurse?
Oh, that I was gonna be working with the kids.
That's what that referred to with Ingersoll?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right. And just go back through the names of people here. Where does she work?
She doesn't, she's on ODST.
Did she work at a nursing home with you?
No, never.
Just her room?
Yeah.
Do you know where she lives in town?
She lives in Toronto.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna wrap things up, but here's what's gonna happen,
Okay.
okay? And part of this is gonna be up to you. What are your plans going forward from here? If you
Going
were to-
forward from here, I want to go home.
Okay,
I want to have a good night's sleep.
okay,
I want to spend, Thanksgiving weekend with my family.
okay,
And I want to be available to the police at any time they need me.
okay,
And if I have to come back for trial, I have to come back for trial.
okay.
I have no plans of leaving. I can surrender my car if you want me to.
Are your parents, are you close with your parents? Like, what type of
Very
relationship
close.
do you have with them?
Very, very close. I have to tell them tonight what's happened.
With mom and dad?
Yes, they know that, I've been in the hospital, but I just told them it was for treatment. But, yeah, my plan tonight is to go and talk to them one-on-one, like face-to-face, and tell them.
What do you think their reaction's gonna be?
They're gonna be devastated.
What do you
I'm
think?
gonna plan on staying the night there, so they have access to me.
Okay. What type of support do you think you're gonna get from them?
Eventually, all the support I need. I also plan to go to my AA groups. I had planned on doing 90 meetings in 90 days. And, just keep up with, like I plan to, see, one of the things that happens with me is I isolate and then I start to not do well. So I plan to, do the Thanksgiving thing, keep up with my friends, clean my apartment, tell my parents. Those are my plans. I have no plans to leave town. I've done this and I'm ready to face it, but I would love to go home for a night.
I think that's gonna happen.
Bless you.
What? I guess I'll just eat my words then. Apparently, confessing to murdering 8 people and trying to murder 6 more is not bad enough of a crime to prevent you from staying home with your family for Thanksgiving. Canada, what is up with this?
Okay, I think that's gonna happen. As I said at the very, very beginning of this, whatever time we started hours ago, you're not under arrest right now,
Okay.
okay? But as you can imagine, okay,
Call you back in 30 minutes. That was my cousin.
gotcha, okay. As I said at the beginning, you're not under arrest,
Okay.
but as you can imagine, an
I will be.
investigation like this
Yeah.
is something that we've never dealt with. It's something that doesn't happen very often. It's
Okay.
something that you rarely hear about,
Right.
okay? I don't know of many, but you're not the first person to do this,
Right.
okay? Having said that, we have a responsibility to protect the public,
Right.
right? You know where I'm coming from when I say that?
Yes,
As a police.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You've done some things to some innocent people,
Absolutely.
some pretty, what people are
Horrible
gonna,
things.
people are gonna have opinions of you and people are
Monster.
gonna, right, exactly. Having said that, there's something in the Criminal Code of Canada, and this is usually results in someone being charged with a criminal offense and being placed on such a thing called an 810 peace bond.
Okay.
Okay, and basically what an 810 peace bond is kind of a promise given by you or your word given to us, and it's a court document that's issued by a judge that puts you on certain conditions, certain conditions limiting you from doing certain things, having certain things in your possession, attending certain locations, and if you were to breach those conditions,
Right.
then you would be arrested and further charged with
Okay.
breaching this, what's called an 810 peace bond.
Okay.
So basically, you've heard of a restraining order?
Yes.
It's similar to that,
Okay.
okay? A lot of people call them restraining orders, but it's actually in Canada called an 810 peace bond.
Okay.
And again, it just limits you from doing certain things, attending certain locations. It could be things like still getting help for your mental health, your substance abuse,
Yes.
surrendering your passport.
I have no passport.
Not practicing as an RN,
Yeah.
not attending nursing homes, things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
If that were an option, which, like I said, usually that occurs with people that are charged people or convicted of certain offenses,
Right.
that's part of their punishment sometimes.
Okay.
would you be willing to enter into an 810 piece bond prior to being criminally charged?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do you understand what I mean by the 810 piece bond?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It means I have to do it, or I come back and I'm in jail until everything else happens.
Okay. I don't know what would happen if you were to breach it as far as jail and the consequences.
Yeah.
The only thing that I want to make sure that it's clear to you and that make sure that I'm getting my point across is that it's basically a document that you're going to swear, sign, and agree not to do certain things, not to have certain things in your possession. And
Right.
and I'm not saying that's going to happen right now.
Okay.
Because it has to go in front of a judge.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's just an option that we're looking at because, as I said, we have the responsibility to protect the public.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
that's why I want to know what your plans are.
Yes.
I want to know that you're going to go home and be supported by your family.
Yes.
I want to know that you're
Cell
going to
phone will be charged at all times, always on my body if you need me. I will be here, and if you need me to come here, I'll be here. If you need me to wait for you to come and get me, I'll do it. I'm totally committed.
All right. I think do we have your cell phone number?
519
Yeah.
532 6471.
Okay.
Home phone number is 519 290 0724.
Okay.
Parents' phone number.
Don't worry about that. I'll get that when I'll get your parents when we go.
Okay.
Okay. You understand what we just talked about?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because it's a very unique situation, right?
Yes,
Where
I'm so thankful.
You confess to certain things.
Yes,
And we have quite a bit of legwork, as you can imagine,
yes.
to piece this investigation together and see where we go from here.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that will consult in it and determine the final answer of what your fate is.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
But I know that you're aware of the extent of what you've done.
Yes.
I know that you've verbalized and spoke about how you feel, and that obviously you can't take it back, but, you know.
I'm relieved that I've confessed it. I feel sorry for the people that are now going to find out. Sorry doesn't say it.
Yeah.
They should do that as a word bigger than sorry.
Yeah.
Like Diana sorry or something.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah. I really have to pee. I'm sorry.
No problem. I've got 8:16, and I think that'll probably conclude things, but I'm glad you use the washroom and go from there.
I understand the order she will be placed under, but sheesh! No bond or anything, and they haven't even charged her yet? Wild. I would think you would charge the person, and then if the evidence showed they were lying, then you would drop the charge, rather than letting them out on an oath that they won't leave and not charging them until enough evidence is found. Isn't the confession evidence enough? Elizabeth Wettlaufer was arrested on October 25, 2016. For reference, Canadian Thanksgiving in 2016 was on October 10th, meaning Elizabeth wasn't charged for almost a month. That's just wild to me. She was charged with 8 counts of murder, 4 counts of attempted murder, and 2 counts of aggravated assault. Elizabeth pled guilty on June 1st, 2017. On June 26, 2017, she was sentenced to 8 concurrent life sentences with possibility of parole after 25 years. Huge shout out to our Patreon producers, Jason Harrison Taz, Skylar James Wicker, and The Endless. I just want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon members, as you make it possible for me to upgrade my equipment and provide lots of great ideas for next videos. Thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe for more interrogation breakdown and true crime videos to come. If you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments below. Thanks and have a wonderful day.